all that, the keys to success. Welcome to episode number 144, the 8th episode of our 7th season of the show right here on Shaw TV. Musical guest again right behind me, songwriter, musician, and actor, Joshua Holloway. He's very experienced in musical theater, actually self-described as a huge musical theater nerd and also studying music at university right now. We're going to hear about how those experiences have shaped his tunes in a conversation and with some more music over the course of the hour. All right, so I know a lot of people watching right now over years may be fighting colds or the flu, or in Howie's case, late night at the Landlubber Pub. So we've got some health and wellness segments for you to raise your spirits and let you know about some great stuff. In fact, starting off coming up in February at the VI Conference Center, Wellness News is hosting the 2018 Women's Expo, which is featuring about 75 different exhibitors, in addition to talks, activities, a film screening, and much, much more. We have the event producer in the studio here to give us all of those details. If you're hungry, what about Szechuan Haggis? One of Nanaimo's coolest cross-cultural events is coming back to Nanaimo here in 2018, the 11th annual Robbie Burns and Chinese New Year celebration, Xin Yan Kuai Le. In celebration of old Rob's 259th birthday, though to be honest, I don't think he looks a day over 180, and also in celebration of the Chinese Year of the Dog, year 4716, we can expect some great food, entertainment from both Scottish and Chinese cultures, details and some amazing exhibitions coming your way here in about 10 minutes. Now, food, as we say right there, can be a means for celebration, but it's also a necessity, and we're going to be reintroducing you to a very important service club society here in Nanaimo, providing a free morning meal program for those in need in the community. As part of our recurring Seniors Connect series, we're going to meet a Qualicum Beach author and an advocate for compassionate care who has written a memoir about being a family caregiver for her parents as they've edged closer to the edge of their lives. Very much looking forward to hearing and meeting the storyteller and finding out the story of the storyteller, also information on an upcoming reading happening as well. Now, do you happen to know what figure athletes are? Other than to probably look at me and say, that's probably not one right there. Well, we're going to meet actually a world champion figure athlete, as well as meet some award-winning competitors, all linked to a health and fitness studio right here in Nanaimo. But first, you know about dolls, right, as items of play. But what about dolls as items of healing and spirituality? Well, that's what we're going to start off with here. We're putting on our finest and getting all dolled up for you. It's the show right here on Shaw TV.
Is a writer, healer, and artist living here on Vancouver Island. And she learns from the wisdom of the earth. She's a lover of all things wild, believes deeply in the healing powers of nature and the divine feminine. What Deborah and I are going to be talking about today are some of these exquisite dolls that you craft, and to share with us some of the ideas behind how you came up with this concept. So welcome, Deborah. I'm really excited.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
So first of all, before we get too far into this, when you say the divine feminine, can you tell me a little bit about what that means?
Well, when I talk about the divine feminine, it really is that aspect of that creation, the creative energy that speaks to what it means to be a healer, what it means to be connected to the earth and to abundance, the nurturing side of us as women and men. So the divine feminine really is about sinking into that place of softness and allowing the earth to heal us.
Okay. Now, I know you've shared with me that this was your very first doll.
Yes.
And she is your personal favorite, and she is one that you will keep always. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Yes, well, I've had her. I've started needle felting and doing the dolls about just over a year ago, and this doll represents me in many ways. Doesn't look like me, but represents a lot of what I value. So you'll see that she has, she's very much got a lot of natural fiber on her. She carries a snake with her, and for me, the snake really symbolizes wisdom and you know, the wisdom, the deep wisdom that is carried within all of us. And so she has a snake around her shoulders. She has her own medicine bag, and inside the medicine bag is herbs like lavender and sage. And inside of her, once again, is another medicine bag, and inside of that medicine bag is herbs like healing herbs like sage and lilac and those kinds of things.
Now, this doll looks very much to me like she might be First Nations, but she's actually, your dolls are Celtic inspired.
All of my dolls come from Celtic folklore, and so that's where I take a lot of my inspiration, is from the stories of the Celts, which would be my ancestors. And so they're based on Celtic goddesses, warriors, mythological creatures or people, those kinds of things, yes.
Who would this lady be?
So this is Kerilie, and she represents, again, the divine feminine. You might not be able to see it here, but she's pregnant, so she's got a bit of a belly, and on her belly is the spiral, which is sort of that idea of never ending, sort of the mystery, going deeper into the mystery, and she also has the snake, and so she's based on the goddess Kerilie. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to be back more a little later on with some more of your other dolls, and we'll get to learn a little bit more about how they're made. But right now, I'm going to throw things over to Cathy Holmes, and she's got a great story coming up for us about women.
I gotta tell you, I absolutely love the idea of the divine spirit, and there's nothing more wonderful than taking a really good look at all of the aspects of what womanhood is all about. With me today is Teresa Osmond from Wellness News and the Wellness News Women's Expo, and I knew that that was going to be a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, but tell us all about it, Teresa. Welcome.
Well, I will. Thanks for having me here, Cathy. Really, just love to have the opportunity to tell you about it. The Wellness News is a health and wellness publication. It's Choices for Healthy Living. We started about a year ago, and we're just so excited to be able to bring the Wellness News Women's Expo to Nanaimo and further afield. It's taking place on February 10th at the Vancouver Island Conference Centre here in Nanaimo.
So what kinds of things can we expect to see? Oh, and I'm going to just put this up so that people can get a little bit of a glimpse of it. But what would you expect to see at the Wellness Expo?
Well, some of the things that you for sure expect to see are exhibitors. We have about 90 exhibitors. We've got health talks, so health seminars. There's activity demonstrations, different sporting activities that you can get into as a woman. A Diva Oasis, that's all about being pampered, so little mini services like nails, massage, facials, that'll be going on. And yeah, door prizes, just really a great variety of things.
That's amazing. So where can you get tickets, and can you show us the tickets real quick?
Yeah, well, the event is actually, it's free to attend, but we have done VIP tickets, and you can pick up VIP tickets at our exhibitors, and our exhibitors are listed on the website, wellnessnews.ca/Women's Expo. You don't have to have a ticket to attend, but if you do come with a ticket in hand, we are donating 50 cents for every ticket that we receive back, up to 1,000, to the Nanaimo Women's Center.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and they'll help women in our community. So we're
so
just
the money's
super
going to stay
excited.
right in the community
it's
itself.
Stay in the community. And the Nanaimo Women's Center is also running the coat check by donation, so we're giving them an opportunity to raise some money here locally.
That's fantastic. So what are you thinking of for your best part of what this expo is going to represent?
Just bringing women together and sharing wellness and well-being. Sometimes when people say wellness, they think health, but for us, well-being is everything. It's the whole person. It's the health. It's the fun. It's the fashion. It's the cosmetics. It's the pampering. It's everything. So we have exhibitors from all areas of wellness and really helping with the overall well-being of a woman. And I got to say that it's not only for women.
No.
There's lots of people, lots of exhibitors selling products, some that would be excellent for Valentine's Day gifts. So guys, come on out too. You can certainly learn some great things at the Expo.
February 10th, and it's going to be where?
It's at the Vancouver Island Conference Centre. It's in downtown Nanaimo. Lots of great parking down there. Because it's a Saturday, the parkade underneath the conference centre will be pretty well empty, and it's cheap. It's like 75 cents for 2 hours to park. Yeah,
it's absolutely
and
worth
if it's raining, it's covered parking. So yeah, so that's great.
Just before we go away, because I want to make sure that we get this in just at the end here, we're talking about health talks and the Diva Oasis. It's the Diva Oasis that I'm wrapped wrapped up with. So tell me.
Well, the Diva Oasis has exhibitors that are doing the mini services, so there'll be some pampering, mini facial, some cosmetics. There's actually a photographer doing some boudoir photography in there, so just, so you can get pictures taken with your friends. You know, bring your mom, your neighbor, your friends out and come on out, and it's free to attend, so don't worry if you don't have a ticket. You can still come out and enjoy.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, and it'll be great to see what's going to happen next. But before you get to go to the show, you got to keep watching the rest of this show. We've got Kerilie McDowall coming up, and she has something different to talk about.
Well, thanks so much for that, Cathy. You know, with a name like McDowall, with my name, you know I'm Scottish. And there's a very wonderful celebration coming up, the Robbie Burns special celebration with the Chinese New Year's. And this is all happening February 3rd from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Bowen Park Auditorium. My guests today are Lloyd and Swan Makuam and Sue Zhang from the Flower Academy. And they're going to tell us all about this wonderful event. Lloyd, welcome, and welcome Swan and Sue.
Thank you, Kerilie.
So tell us about this event. What can we expect at this amazing event?
Well, it's a fusion of Scottish and Chinese. We started 11 years ago, and we start off with Highland dancers, and then we have lion dance. Then we have a pipe and drum, Scottish pipe and drum band come in, and then we have a lion sword dance, which is something that we innovated about 4 years ago, and then we have a buffet. But one of the highlights this year is the Address of the Haggis. We're going to do it 10 languages.
Wow.
And we started off with, I think the first year it was just in Old Scottish, and then I thought of doing it in Mandarin, so we did it in Mandarin. Then we brought in Cantonese, then we brought in French. So for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been doing it in all those 4 languages, and all the most important languages in the world, of course. And but now we're going to have Japanese, Vietnamese, Filipino, Danish, Norwegian, and maybe a little Ukrainian. So
we're talking global culture here.
That's right, absolutely.
That's
it's going to be a
wonderful.
stage full.
I know you're going to do a special sample today, a special sample of one of these special dances. It's what is it that we're doing? The lion sword dance?
Lion sword dance. It's a fusion of the lion dance, which is Chinese,
right,
and the sword dance, which is a traditional Scottish Highland dance.
Okay.
And about 5 or 6 years ago, I just got the idea of doing them together.
What a great idea!
And people love it. It's they just think it's great.
Well,
so that's what we're going to do today.
Let's get into some music here and get the music going and really get into the lion sword dance. Here we go. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I think it can't get any better than that.
No, and you can see it's not easy.
No. Yeah. As you can see, it's going to be a great dance celebration and party for Chinese New Year's on February 3rd at the Bowen Park Auditorium. So Swan, we're going to have a fashion show as well at the event too?
That's right,
Yeah, and we're going to show a bit of that today.
That's right, demo.
And I'll let you set that up with Sue Zhang from the Flower Academy, and we'll get that going. We'll get some music going and have some fun.
Okay, sure.
Sound good?
Yes,
All right, let's go.
Okay.
So here we go with a fashion show next.
旗袍是我们中国的传统的服装，它体现了我们女性的美丽、大方、温柔，文雅。我们女性穿的它就是是非常的漂亮。我们今天的发型秀配上我们优美的太富美的音乐，请大家欣赏。
Sue just introduced the show, right? The fashion show is basically a traditional Chinese fashion show. Is show this kind of the show we call the qi pao. Qi pao can show the Chinese ladies they are elegant, they are dignities, and their beauty. So also the music they choose called the beauty of the Taihu Lake. So just match what they show.
Wonderful. Okay. 'Well, as you can see, that was just a wonderful fashion show. It's going to be a fabulous show February 3rd at Bowen Park Auditorium, encouraging everyone to get out there and enjoy it. Lloyd and Swan, thank you so much for dropping by, and Sue as well. It's been wonderful seeing all this amazing dancing and this wonderful, lovely fashion show, encouraging everyone to get out. And any last words there, Lloyd or Swan?
Well, no, I just hope that everybody can come out and join us, and we're looking forward to having another very successful Robbie Burns Chinese New Year celebration.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And we're going to pass it along next to Joshua Holloway and Matt Carter, who have got a fantastic song for you next and a bit of an interview.
Didn't see it coming down to this, but you're here in my sights, and here I am alone with nothing in between myself and those lights. And if I take this leap, my darling, I just hope that I don't live to regret it. This life is short and I can't help but feel that I might be willing to bet it. Do you promise I was wondering, would you like to join me for a dance? Maybe right now. I used to think the earth was big and blue, but in your arms I can't tell. It almost makes me crazy thinking that someone like you put me under this spell. I keep on drowning in your eyes and now I just can't stop. But you taught me to swim, so hold me close and hold me fast. I know that these old lights never dim, and I promise I won't leave you behind with a glance. No way, no how. But I was wondering, would you like to join me for a dance? Maybe right now. Yes, I need you more than I can explain. And I missed you more than I can explain. And my darling, you will never know how much I loved you till we find our way back home. Now we promised that we won't overthink romance. Right here, right now. But I was wondering, would you like to join me for a dance? Could you teach me how? Would you teach me how?
Maybe right now with Joshua Holloway. Beautiful music. Thank you, Joshua. I'm back here with artist Deborah Hollins, and we're continuing our journey into looking into these incredible medicine dolls that Deborah creates. Deborah, you brought an example here of how this gets started, because I don't think the viewers at home probably understand these are actually felted.
That's right.
What does that mean? Can you explain a little bit about it?
Well, what needle felting is really is taking wool fiber, and then you sort of wrap it up. And when you take a barbed needle, then you start to felt it, and really it's soft sculpture. So the more that you poke it, the more that the wool binds, and the more that the wool binds, then you can begin to shape it into nose, mouth, eyes, those kinds of things. And then you can use the wool to literally draw onto the dolls like the butterfly with the needle. So the dolls actually start with an armature, which is their skeleton like this, and then they're built up with wool that goes around and around and around and around and is bound and bound into the figure.
Okay, and then on the inside of these dolls, you said they're stuffed. I mean, other people can't feel them. I wish you could feel how incredibly soft these dolls are, and they smell fabulous because they're filled with herbs, lavender, sage, and such things.
Absolutely, yes. A lavender sage, and the latest is just forest floor things that I'm finding and making into a stir.
Okay. Now these are both also feminine dolls again, are they?
These are as well, yes. So this one here is the Morrigan. So she is a dark goddess, which people might think sounds scary, but no, she's just about renewal, destruction, and renewal, and what can come from when we recreate things.
Okay, and this doll?
She's a shapeshifter, so that's why she has the antlers, and she is a goddess, a Celtic goddess of the forest.
Oh, she's beautiful. Well, we're going to be shifting shapes here a little bit ourselves right now, and I'm going to be throwing things over to Kerilie McDowall. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jane. You know, we can get a little shamanistic and into this interesting area. I guess when I talk about my next guest, you know, the Nanaimo 710 Club is a wonderful organization that helps those in need in our community. I'm very happy to present my next guest. You may know him as a city councilor, but he's actually also the board chairperson and a volunteer of the Nanaimo 710 Club Society for over 14 years. I'm talking about Gord Fuller. Gord, welcome.
Thanks, Kerilie.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here because the Nanaimo 710 Club is such an important organization. Tell us about the services.
It is important. What it does is it serves one of the essential needs of people, and that is to be fed. And with the way society is nowadays, a lot of people are juggling rent and food. And the 710 Club has been feeding people with dignity and respect since 1985.
Wow, so since 1985, people have been able to get a meal at the Nanaimo 710 Club Society. It's been going that long. And so what do you provide to your clients?
Well, our volunteers, and we're primarily volunteer-based, we provide soup, porridge, and a bag lunch, which involves a couple of sandwiches, fruit if we have it, snack if we have it. So essentially we're providing people with 2 meals. And we don't limit it to just one bowl of anything. They can have as much as they would like to eat.
Wonderful. And so, and now I understand that the Nanaimo 710 Club Society is seeking volunteers at the moment. Is that true?
Yes, as I said, we're volunteer driven and we're always looking for volunteers. We may be switching our volunteer time from, normally it would be 6 until 10, but we're thinking that we might have our volunteers come in from 6 till noon. The time of the 710 Club would still be 7 to 10, but this would allow us to pre-prep the soup for the next day so that our cook doesn't have to come in at 4:30.
Oh, yeah. That would be nice for the cook. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're looking for a new cook right now.
You're looking for a new cook, yeah.
Our last one's been with us for about 5 years. Prior to that, over 10 years, and people stick with the 710 Club when they come.
And it's serving such an essential need. You know, so many people are hungry these days. There's people that are really struggling in our community that need this service. Yeah.
And more people are struggling, and we do it with dignity and respect. We do not make them line up. They come in, sit down. Our volunteers ask them if they want coffee or tea and what they would prefer for breakfast, and we take it from there.
So how can people help the Nanaimo 710 Club? Do you need donations? What do you need?
We always need donations, and we would prefer those donations be monetary because we can get bigger bang for the buck with monetary donations. A lot of the foods and breads we get donated, but we also take clothing and give that away. We will take pretty much whatever someone is willing to offer us and get it out to someone for free.
And people need to know that it's not just, you know, adults using this service. There's children, there's seniors. It encompasses everyone from society.
It does. It encompasses people living on income assistance, low-income families, single parents.
Well, we've got to wrap up now, Gord, but I really want to thank you for joining me today, and I asked you to come down, and you did, and I really thank you for that because I really wanted to get the word out about what you do down at the Nanaimo 710 Club Society, and I want to thank you for it.
Well, thank you, and like you say, it is essential.
Wonderful news. Well, we're going to pass it over to the wonderful Matt Carter next, who's got an interview lined up with Joshua Holloway next.
Thank you very, very much, Kerilie, and thank you very much, Gord, for being here as well. More than 1 million meals served to children and adults in Nanaimo since 1985, according to the 710 Club website. You need, of course, good food to start your day, and a huge thank out to the staff and volunteers for the 710 Club for all of their efforts. Now, food, of course, feeds the body. Music feeds the soul. So now it's time right about now to meet our musical guest. We're putting in the background the winter holiday, and in the foreground, Joshua Holloway. Joshua, welcome to the show on Shaw TV.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Very glad to have you. So now, this first, I talked up top. You're going to school for music. Tell us about the music school you got going on right now.
Yeah, so I'm at Vancouver Island University, and I'm in my second year of the Bachelor of Music program, specializing in jazz. So all of the theory and the knowledge that I'm learning is through the jazz medium. So I've been in it for 2 years now. I'm just finishing up my second semester of second year, and it's a pleasure. I love every minute of it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have such an amazing music program as well as great school programs here in Nanaimo.
Really
now, I want to get right into your bio on Facebook, which states you began a wider musical career in 2011 after participating in a local theater production on Vancouver Island. So tell us about that particular music production and why that experience spoke to you so profoundly.
Totally. So for me, my first musical was with Headliner Studios, which is a local company, and we performed High School Musical. And I was a jock. I was in the background. My shorts were too big. They were falling down the whole show. I was a super stocky 13-year-old just trying to figure out how to do this, because I was totally new to the experience. I had just had a background in piano and sort of like formal music training, so theater gave me a great chance to sort of wiggle around and let loose a little bit more. Yeah. But for me, the show that was like the pinnacle was the following year, which was, like 2012 maybe, and it was The Wiz, which is a spin-off of The Wizard of Oz, and it had Michael Jackson in it, and I think the movie came out in the 80s, and it was a great, great film. And then it got adapted to stage, and then Headliners performed it. And I was lucky to be cast in the role of the Scarecrow, which was the first time I'd ever been cast in a leading role in anything. So it was really liberating and exciting, so I wanted to take the reins and give it a try, and the rest was history.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, your history so far now has been, again, reading online, 17 different musical productions. I do want to talk about your next one coming up in a moment. But first, you also write online, you aspire to be an actor in a Broadway musical. I mean, that's the big time. So totally. Tell us about why is that your aspiration?
Well, for me, I think that music, to me, is a piece of the puzzle. But getting to perform on stage, getting to tell a story through music and through dialogue and sort of blending them together into one that's the core. Like that's to me the best way of sending a message, and that's just for me. It's a personal thing, but that's my favorite way to do it. So to me, building a career on those fundamental principles, which is that music, performance, dialogue, and story are so critical. It sounds like paradise. So I've been lucky to audition for a couple of schools in New York, and the cool thing is that I was really lucky to be accepted to them.
Nice.
So the next steps for my mom and I are figuring out scholarships and grants and how that would happen if we went to those schools. But at the very least, it's an exciting new step.
Beautiful. All right. So again, obviously, we're all thinking the best for you moving there.
Thank you.
For the here and now, again, you're about to perform in a play up at theater up at VIU. Into the Woods, a Tony Award-winning musical, also Disney to film adaptation. This is neat. It's got a bit of a fairy tale connection to it. So tell us about your character Jack and a little bit about the plot.
Totally. So the musical Into the Woods was written. The musical was written by Stephen Sondheim, which means already it's fantastic. But the storyline is based around lots of familiar fairy tale characters being woven into one tale. The main two characters are a baker and his wife, classic. But unfortunately, they can't have a child because a curse has been laid upon them by the witch who lives next door for lots of complicated reasons that I don't have time to explain. But there's Cinderella and Rapunzel and Jack and the Beanstalk and Little Red Riding Hood and the Wolf, and they all come together into one story to help the baker and his wife to sort of gather all of these special magical items to be able to have a child and live happily ever after, so to speak. It's a really great sort of story about teamwork.
Exactly. Love it. All right, again, so you're going to let folks know, again, that's coming up at the VIU Theater, correct?
Yes.
March 1st to 3rd and 7th to 10th. And again, you can get tickets, I believe, up at the VIU box office.
Right on.
Perfect. All right, so also Joshua Holloway Trio playing music February 2nd at the Modern Cafe from 5 to 8. So really busy. Joshua, thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on the show. Very, very glad to have you.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, let's get back to some more music then. Back to the keys here. Joshua Holloway with a track called Lovely on the show on Shaw TV.
That's enough talking aloud, let's hush. Close our eyes, close our mouths and blush. More is said, more is done with less. Promise me that you won't obsess. I don't want anything aside from the love that you can provide. Nothing else other than right here. breath away. You turn my night to day. Maybe this is meant to be. Wouldn't that be lovely? Lying in open fields, we stare into the frosty atmosphere. In the grand scheme of things, we're small, but you make me feel 10 feet tall. 'Cause you take my breath away. You turn my night to day. Maybe this is meant to be. Wouldn't that be lovely? You take my breath away. You turn my night to day. Maybe this is meant to be. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Thank you.
That was Joshua Holloway with Lovely. And we have with me some lovely ladies here, and we're going to talk about a competition that just was recently held last spring, which was in Vancouver area in Richmond. I have with me on my immediate right Erin Crawford, who is with Body Temple Health and Fitness, and we have on her right Charlotte Rousseau, one of the competitors, and Nicole Mackay, who's also one of the competitors. And we'll talk to Charlotte and Nicole in a moment about their experience, but I want to talk to you, Erin, first about the whole aspect of going to competitions and what that meant for the ladies that went. And you took a number of ladies who were competitors in this past spring in May, right?
Yes, there were 6 different competitors, all women, and most of them competed in bikini as well as fitness model. And yeah, we had such a great time, and it was awesome bringing them all with me over there.
Let's take a look at that photo shot of the ladies who competed and the ones that that came back, and you can talk a little bit about their results. And they're up on the screen here, and let's look at those on the, let's start with on the far left.
In the blue, that is Stephanie Nguyen, and she placed 3rd in bikini, and I believe she got another placing, but I can't quite put my finger on what that one was. It feels like it was forever ago now. And then there's Charlotte Rousseau, and then there's Jen, and then me in the center, and that would be Olivia, now Perry, and Nicole Mackay, and Angela Wiltsey.
Great. Now, tell us a little bit about what it meant And you've been doing this for some 7 years of taking competitors to
Yes.
various competitions throughout BC. What does that mean for those that have gone? Is it something they've wanted to do or something they really just fell into as far as?
Kind of, I find that a lot of people just fall into it. Either they see somebody online that's competed and they see that newfound inner strength and that newfound knowledge on health and fitness, and it's either they start training with me and they decide, hey, I've seen what you've done, I want to compete, or they've seen somebody, you know, that they've known that has competed and just saw what it did for them, and I feel like it attracts women to that.
Good. One of the things I noticed in a previous story one of the local newspapers had is that it's really a part of confidence for everyone who comes. That's
Totally.
And I mean, it's probably intimidating. People don't want to go out to the beach in a bathing suit, let alone be on stage and judged.
We work up to that.
Okay, well, and one of the things, and this is, I'm just looking over your shoulder here at both Charlotte and Nicole, people think that it's a young person's sport and competition, but
Not true.
let's look at, first of all, Charlotte, who's a competitor at 50 years of age, and Nicole, who's 36. We'll talk to them both. Let's go off to Jane, let's throw over to Jane, and she's got some guests, and we'll come back and talk to both Charlotte and Nicole.
Thanks, Brian. Seniors Connect is about reducing the social isolation of older adults here in Nanaimo. No group is more at risk for becoming socially isolated than people who end up in the caregiver support role. Today, my guest is Janet Dunnett, author of the book, The Dwindling, A Daughter's Caregiving Journey to the Edge of Life. Welcome, Janet.
Great, it's great to be here. Thanks, Jane.
So, Janet, when I read this book, I was mesmerized. It reads like fiction. I read it in 2 days. It was spellbinding, but this is your family's personal story. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, this is my family story. I'm a family of 7, but 2 of us got nabbed to be the caregivers, my identical twin sister and myself. And the story started the first day of the millennium when my twin and I pinky swore that we would look after our parents whatever happened, without knowing what was coming up. For the first few years it was easy. I was the daughter, Judy was the daughter. And the job was simple. It was caregiving, but it was helping our parents to feel purpose in their lives and find meaning. But then over the 10 years, it suddenly got more and more difficult until there were 3 or 4 years where it's very intense. And the story winds up, as it often does in caregiving, with a more gentle time when everyone knew there was nothing more to be fixed. And then the caregiving ended.
Okay. One of the things that I remember that really struck me in the book was the section when your mother talks to her doctor about not having any illnesses and then lists about 7 or 8. But I mean, this is a fact of life when we age. This is part of how we live, correct? So, I mean, so many of us are not probably prepared for the amount of caregiving support we're going to end up giving our families and friends, especially now with 1 in 4 of us reaching the age of 65 by the year 2030.
Right? That's 1 million people in BC.
Right.
And it does come up as a big shock to people. They might know vaguely that caregiving is coming, but when it really starts to happen, it is a very difficult time. And people feel untrained because they're untrained. They feel overwhelmed. They might feel angry. What happened to me? I've got a life to lead.
One of the things you also pointed out to me earlier is the fact that a lot of people don't see themselves as caregivers.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh, this is my partner or my mother
Right.
or my father. So you feel like it's something we're all just born to do.
It's a tricky thing. You don't see yourself as a caregiver because it's more important to see yourself as a daughter or a wife or a friend. And the person being cared for doesn't particularly want to be called a cared for person or a victim or a person who is needy. So there's this dance that has to be played around identity until everybody gets on the same page, and you can't make your own food, you can't get to the toilet, you can't dress. Everyone agrees. We're now caregivers.
Right. So this Friday at the Seniors Connect Center, January 26th at 3 p.m., you're coming in to lead a group in a discussion around caregiving support and what that looks like for people in Nanaimo. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Well, what I'm expecting to do is to read a very, very little book, because the important thing to say here is that that's just one story, and everybody has a story. I happened to write the story because I was a writer, and I had a twin sister who goaded me to get it off my mind by writing. But everybody, I hope, that comes has got plenty to say, and we'll talk about that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Janet. We're really looking forward to your talk. For those of you who are interested, you can pick up the book all in bookstores all over Nanaimo, and I hope you join us at the Seniors Connect Center at 3 p.m. January 26th for our discussion with Janet Dunnett. And now I'm going to throw things back to Brian.
Thanks, Jane. And I have with me here two of the competitors that recently competed in both figure and bikini competition at the most recent competitions last spring in Richmond. Charlotte Rousseau. Charlotte, you're maybe a little bit older than some of the people would think for competitors. At 50, what drew you into that? You've been doing this is your second competition.
This is my second competition. I did my first competition at the age of 48. And the one that you showed the photo of, I was 49. Okay. So I was a fitness instructor already, and I felt like I just needed a goal, goal to drive myself, to a new challenge.
And where did you place last year then?
I placed 4th in Grandmasters bikini.
Okay, and the Grandmasters being those, what age?
Over 40, I believe, right? Over 40.
Let's bring up those shots. This is you in one of 3 poses.
Yeah.
Good. And what kind of things? Let's look at the second pose. Good. And this is the confidence you need to be able to stand up on stage, right?
Yeah.
And
which you don't start out with.
You don't start out with that confidence. Okay. Good.
No.
And
it's a work in progress.
Okay. And the final. Good. Yeah. And one of the things is that, and I said to Charlotte, what does it take, and could we have you pose here? And she said, she's not in competition form right now.
Right.
So you have to think, and you look at Charlotte right now, she feels she's about 10 pounds over her competition weight.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I'm working towards the next competition, so off season, although I still eat clean and train every day, I'm working on building muscle.
Good.
So
more definition.
Yeah, so my diet incorporates a lot more food than I would right in prep mode about 6 weeks before competition, where I would be cutting calories and decreasing body fat.
Okay, so, even more so than you have right now.
Yes, so I still look great in a bikini, Brian, but maybe not my competition bikini.
Okay, let's bring Nicole into this. Nicole Mackay, you placed what spot last year?
I placed 1st overall in the fitness model division.
So and I saw something that entitles you to a pro card now?
Yes, so that was my goal, was to get my pro card, and yeah, I achieved it.
Let's bring your shot up of your award and the fact that you were listed here. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience? That was your first show.
Yes, that was my first show. I've always worked out quite hard ever since I was about 20.
Yeah.
I always wanted to compete, and I saw one of Erin's ads in the local What's Up Nanaimo magazine, and I called her up, and yeah, the rest is history.
And you're going back into, you had such a great time. You sort of got over that hurdle of any confidence you needed, and you're going back in again in March?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to compete March 10th with the BCA BBA. Yeah.
And that'll be in Vancouver?
Yes, in Vancouver.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's been great to see some of that information. Erin, you're mic'd up, so you can tell us a little bit about how many people you anticipate
competing this year.
Yeah.
There's usually, what I can muster on my roster is usually around 10 to 15 girls per year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to have you in. I think the whole community is behind you, and I think it's great in terms of the profile for Nanaimo and your program.
Yes.
Great, thank you for coming in, Erin. You can contact Erin through
Thank you.
Body Tempo.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Let's head to Matt.
All right, thank you very, very much, Brian, and thank you, Charlotte, Nicole, and Aaron for coming down to the show, and also, again, congratulations on all of the efforts as well. I mean, exercise segment's a perfect fit here on the show, but you got to go to the gym, talk to a professional to get perfectly fit as well. Now, we heard earlier about the 11th annual Robbie Burns and Chinese New Year celebration, again, earlier this show. I wanted to give you a heads up about another Chinese New Year celebration, the Nanaimo Chinese Cultural Society's Lunar New Year Dinner Gala. Xinyan Kuai Le. Dax started some photos here right about now. Let's take a look at those, and I'll let you know that the celebration is going to feature Chinese music performed on very traditional Chinese instruments, kung fu demonstrations, some dancing, as you can see there, some singing, some storytelling, and of course, a most excellent catered Asian buffet, and you pretty much get me to go to any of it where I'm going to know there's going to be some incredible Chinese food done well. Should also say last year, again, yeah, great celebration there. Last year at this event, the Chinese Cultural Society donated $2,000 from this event to the Nanaimo Hospital Foundation. So a great event and for a great cause as well. So in celebration of multiculturalism and celebration of diversity and celebration of fun and great people. Get ready for a feast of the ages, at least until the Year of the Pig next year. Check out the Nanaimo Chinese Cultural Society's Lunar New Year Dinner Gala, taking place Sunday, February 11th at 4 p.m. That's at the Bevan Park Social Center in Central Nanaimo, and you can get tickets for that at the Port Theatre box office or online at porttheatre.com. All right, time once again to rename the Shaw TV studios as the Dollhouse and throw things once again back over to Jane and Deborah. Jane, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. I'm back here with Deborah Hollins, and I would love to talk a little bit about this beauty right here beside you.
So this doll doesn't have a name, but she is what I call a love warrior. She has the heart on her chest, and inside of her is dried rose petals.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
And the one next to her, now she's a little bit smaller. She looks a little more crone-like to me.
Yeah, she is. She's an older doll. She stands by herself. She doesn't need the doll stand. And she is another aspect of Kerilie, which is the crone, the wise crone doll. So, yes.
And this beauty over here?
She's a maiden, so she's supposed to be young, and she is representative of the ocean. So she has the shells and the beautiful colors that we see in the oceans and along the beaches.
Okay. So can you, now your website is Whispering Earth?
WhisperingEarth.ca. If you go there, you can find a tag for the dolls that you can learn more about the dolls. That will take you to my Etsy shop where you can purchase the dolls, or if you're local, get in touch with me, and then you can skip the whole mailing thing.
And you also custom make dolls for people?
I've custom made dolls for people from England now into the States, New York City, California. So yeah, they're kind of making their way out there in the world.
And so people contact you and say, this is what my spirit is about, this is what I need to heal, and that's how you design it?
Quite often they will send me, sometimes they'll just send me a picture and say, create what you feel from this picture, or they'll give me some information about what's going on in their lives and what they might need in order to, feel better, and that's what I create. So a lot of it's done very intuitively.
Well, Deborah, the dolls are absolutely spectacular. You also do
I have a course that I'm teaching that starts in February. It is a course about the Wheel of the Year. And so the premise of it is that we go through our year, and if we can align ourselves with nature and the changing of the seasons, that keeps us in balance, keeps us connected. And so the course starts in February. And anyone's welcome to come to that, and you can learn more about that on my website as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Deborah.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you, Deborah, so much for being here. And I'm again, amazing, not only the craftsmanship, but again, I sort of mentioned off the top of the show, we think about sometimes dolls as toys, but there's a real connection, you think about kids and their teddy bear or whatever. So this is really to the next level, not only with the craftsmanship, the meaning behind it, the spirituality. So again, really wonderful work, and thank you very much for joining us to share that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, Jane, Deborah, thank you so much. And again, just to sort of riff on, dolls and sort of 90s toys a little bit. I mean, Ronan, behind the camera, do you know how dolls cook their steaks? On the barbecue. Dolls cook their steaks in the barbecue. All right, yeah, clap, finally. Just don't forget the large can of barbecue sauce on the side there. All right, and also for any meal like that, don't forget your vegetables. There's some really good ones grown by the local Cabbage Patch Kids, and their Beanie Babies as well. Actually, I've met their dad, actually, Teddy Ruxpin. He actually works for BC Hydro, fixing transformers with his fellow Power Rangers. And just boggles my mind how he gave up farming. Everyone knew him as Mr. Potato, head of the class. All right, well, anyways, looks like time is clicking along. We've reached Nintendo of this Sega, and I'm gonna go get a teriyaki chicken meal here for dinner. Though the West Coast weather right now looking like it's a bit of a super soaker outside. G.I. Joe go around a lot. So anyway, so thanks to all of our guests, our hardworking volunteers and staff in front of the cameras, in behind the scenes, playing with toys, wherever they are. Hey, you can find Shaw TV on Facebook, this Facebook page, facebook.com/the show on Shaw. Check out previous episodes of the show there, or on YouTube. Hey, if you have an event, cause, demonstration, or issue you'd like to bring to the show, we'll drop a line to Kelly Robinson. We're always looking for wonderful Central Island guests, events, and more. And if you want to volunteer for the show, part of our great crew, contact our volunteer coordinator, Melissa Hall, at melissa.hall@sjrb.ca. All right, time for one more song, though, before we go, from our very talented musical guest behind me. One more song from Joshua Holloway, Tangled in Stars, for you on the show on Shaw TV.
Tangled in stars, you might float away, but I promise I'll never be far. Eyes meet in the moonlight, we might say hello, but it's likely we'll just say goodnight. Have you ever thought before that you might want more? Have you waded through the galaxies to feel at ease with the world? Fell for the sun. I told myself time and again that you might be the one. But how could it last? You've broken my heart, but I'll always hold you in my past. For I never thought before that I might want more. So I'll curl up in the galaxies to feel at ease with the world. Gives one time to erase all those bittersweet memories, but I'll give them all to you as the proof that we knew that our love was there and it was true. Tangled in stars, we could try to change, but it's likely we'll stay as we are. I've seen how this ends, but no, I forgive you and let these stars make our amends. I know know someday we'll be friends. Thank you.